now. Where the pay is good and the risk is high, it's understood we'll do or die. Stand gun in hand, where the gun is law. From a bomber land to the rock of the war. Russian truck with a little M10, sending running to the huts. A few young men, a few who dare to battle in hell. The mercenary, strength and muscle and jungle work. 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 Strength and muscle and jungle work.
survive the inevitable socio-economic collapse and our nuclear holocaust. We must survive cataclysmic. Cataclysm! And what is cataclysm, you ask? Cataclysm. Cataclysm is something that will happen when the bombs drop. The buttons will be pushed, and the bombs will drop! And if you are not prepared to survive, you will not! After Cataclysm, there will be mutants! There will be mutants! Disgusting, psychotic, pus-ridden abominations of the human species! And all they want to do is kill you! To steal your freeze-dried food! And your guns and your ammo! Mutants must be stopped at all costs! I am Trevor Winthrop-Baines! I am the leader of Survival North! And I am here to help you survive the nuclear holocaust! And it will happen sooner than you think. When it comes, when those bombs drop, it will be glorious! It will be beautiful! For we will be able to survive! Now we live a life of fear! We live a life of terror! We do not know when cataclysm will happen! Yet when the bombs drop, it will be beautiful! It will be joyous! It will be a new beginning! Nobody said surviving Cataclysm was going to be easy! There are things you need to survive. You need guns, ammunition, freeze-dried food, fallout shelter. You must be prepared for the inevitable. Social-economic collapse, in my estimation, is already upon us. And you know what follows social-economic collapse. Cataclysm. Cataclysm. Today, on our show, we will be discussing the basics of survival. The basics of surviving when the bomb drops. On our show today, we have an extremely special guest. An extremely special guest. This man is a man among men. This man is perhaps the greatest survivalist, except for me, known to man. The man whom I refer to with such vigor and such glee is a man you all know and love. A man by the name of Concerned Citizen Stan. Stan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you for a very pretty introduction. I don't think I've quite ever been greeted like that before.
It's my pleasure, Stan!
Oh, it's certainly my pleasure, too. And It's great to be back on the show after a very long absence. I'm sure all of our fans out there who may be finally ready to adopt our ideas are very pleased to see us back on as well. And I just want to add right off the top of my head that that this show is couldn't be more serious than if we cut our hands open to bleed all over the place. I don't know how we could prove that we are serious. I know last week's show there were a lot of call-ins, people just sort of silly kids who didn't know what to make of the show, and a lot of them were just sort of goofing and jamming up the phone lines for people who really did want to sort out through their personal problems in readying themselves for the inevitable cataclysm. And I just want to say, please, if you don't have anything serious to ask us, please don't bother phoning, because we're not interested in dealing with just cranks. And I just want to thank you once again, Trevor, for allowing, not only for allowing me on the show, but just thanking you for, well, virtually for existing, because without you, Survival North wouldn't exist, and countless lives would just be rendered completely meaningless without you. And I don't know, I guess it's just my own way of batting a compliment back in your direction, but it just sort of feels good to be on the show. I don't know, I'm just tying my tongue all up.
Well, it's great having you here, concerned citizen Stan! And you brought up a very important point. We are serious! We are serious! When the bomb drops, there will be mutants! And they will want to kill you!
Yeah, what could be more serious than that, really, if it comes down to it? You know, there's all sorts of things like meaning of life and, you know, just getting a good career sorted out and everything, but all that's rendered completely meaningless when the bomb drops, and the streets are just nightmarish corridors of death and, you know, gaseous cloudlets of rotting flesh rising from the haunted landscape like so many squalid punted footballs. It's just, you know, you're not going to really find anything to laugh at too much when that time comes. So
there is nothing to laugh at. There is nothing to laugh at about Cataclysm. Cataclysm is a reality. It will happen, and it will be a nightmarish hell.
Yeah, I know some kids find that something to snicker at, but if they want to phone in, we can educate them. But I just wish they'd keep an open mind, and if they want to giggle, you know, I know as a kid I used to giggle at some pretty horrible things that I'd never consider giggling at now, but horrible, unfortunate people, cases who bring a tear to my eye now and a lump to my throat. But I admit I giggled then, but now I'm walking the golden straight path, and well, you kids, you may be growing up, maybe while you watch this show, maybe by the end of the show, you check in the mirrors, lads, you might find long curly hair sprouting from the end of your chin.
That's right! We have a call coming through now, Stan! Would you like to take this one?
Sure, I'd be glad to speak to whoever. Hello, Survival.
Yeah, I was wondering if I could get some more information about your show earlier.
Yes, what would you like to know, sir?
Some more contacts, if possible, on where to get further information.
Some more contacts? Well, the show runs on a semi-regular basis in this general time slot, and I suggest you just stay tuned, and we'll be giving considerable hints and clues for the astute listener to decipher. And really, if you can't quite follow our drift and decipher our rudimentary clues, really, I guess you're basically failing our own test and don't deserve the answers anyway. But basically, if you are a sincere listener and a sincere survivalist at heart, you should have no trouble at all deciphering our hidden clues.
We can't give away our identities!
Yeah, but are you still there?
Yeah.
I just suggest, what line of information were you hoping to find out, per se?
combat survivors, stuff like that?
Well, there's lots of good reading literature, the name of which we're not allowed to divulge on VPW, but you can go to your local corner library, and there's lots of good stuff on hand-to-hand combat, various martial arts lines, and just there's a wealth of literature, really. I suggest you read as much as you can on the subject, and also stay in top shape. Keep that trigger finger of yours strong. You don't need it trembling and bagging out on you in the moment of truth.
I'm in Canadian Forces, but I'm not at liberty to say which unit. I've gotten most of the stuff, and I've got a few restricted models books as well, but
oh yeah.
I understand what you're saying. You can't say too much.
No, really, please don't go too far, but actually just stay with us, and God bless you for calling, and that's all I can say is just keep listening, and I guarantee you sound like a real good one. There'll be a wealth of rewards for you if you just keep listening.
All right then.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Isn't it wonderful to have people out there who really care about survival?
It sure is, Trevor.
People who are not just pranksters and jokesters. People who really care.
Yeah, I'm really PO'd about having my leg pulled till it's hanging limp at my side there, and it was real godsend hearing that voice from that voice, a clarion call of serious survivalism ringing out in this godless Friday night. Really, you know, I know we get a lot of kids that are just flipping back and forth between all sorts of
rock video.
Yeah, I know. I could barely spit it out, but the whole thing, you know, you can just smell the bubble gum out of the telephone receiver, and really just quit wasting our time. You know, you can tell that the person phones in, and there's a squeak in the voice, and puberty's right in process right in the course of a phone call, and you know, the voice lowers, and it's just. I'm not saying kids can't be serious survivalists. Geez, my own kids are real wingdingers. You know, they could, they could shoot the eye out of a crow at 100 paces. But actually, there's an interesting anecdote about that. My daughter, she's starting some dating now, some with escorts and everything. And this winter, I was showing her new. Her boyfriend is a fine lad and an eager learner, but just a little too eager for his own good. And he was helping me out with the propane heater for my bomb shelter at my location outside of town, and it broke down, and it was getting to be about 40 below. And he set about to surprise me with a surprise remedy. And what he did is he backed his RV up to the vent of the bomb shelter. I know he meant well. But he decided to channel the warm exhaust air right into the vent, where my daughter and I were sitting watching some maneuver tapes on the VCR. And next thing I knew, I was getting pretty dozy, and what he was doing was heating the bomb shelter up with carbon monoxide fumes. And the kid meant well, but he just didn't know better. My daughter's marks have been falling off drastically at school, and but
marks mean nothing.
Well,
Getting
virtually
back
nothing.
to your point, they mean nothing. People are living their lives now. They're preparing for the future, but they are preparing for a future of nothingness and death if they are not preparing to survive cataclysm.
Yeah, really, it doesn't matter if you know the cube root of 8 or anything like that. After a cataclysm, you know, you can take all that fancy book learning and shove it underneath a big stack of freeze-dried food for all I care. Because, the point is, book learning is fine and dandy as a hobby, but the kind of learning that Jim Bob was tackling there was something a little beyond his grasp. And he was young and eager, but with a proper supervision only do I suggest the children consume our show. I suggest calling in your father or one of your godparents or something to watch the show with you, children out there. If
to give you guidance.
That's right. completely right.
Tell me something, Stan.
Yes?
If you were in this situation, I want you to tell the viewers at home what you would do. The situation is this. It's a year, perhaps 2 years after Cataclysm. You decide to leave your fallout shelter.
We all must eventually.
Eventually. What are the precautions you will take, especially if you leave your fallout shelter and discover that there are mutants?
Well, the precautions start not 2 years from now, but the precautions start right now. And the most important thing to do is to make sure your bomb shelter, besides merely existing, is properly stocked. And by that I mean to forego the inevitable for as long as possible. You have to keep a copious supply of freeze-dried food and solar distillers on for your water supply, and make sure you have enough battery generator power for your humus toilet. You don't want that breaking down on you halfway through the waiting period. And then it's just a simple matter of having your plutonium boots all snug and clean and waiting for you at the back door, and a Geiger counter just to keep a quick eye on on how the nuclear half-life's breaking down, and of course a flamethrower and some sort of plutonium helmet, quite a stockpile of ammunition, a handgun, a glass-scoped rifle for the longer range elimination of the self-same pus-infested mutants that we've been talking about for so long now. And it's just common sense at that point. It's a matter of putting your training into proper use at that point. I guess I'm just stressing basics here. There's no surprises. It's just a matter of waiting, and I guess the motto is trust nobody, because you may see a friendly face from your past looming up towards you. It gets a little closer. You realize it's just the facial skin from your Uncle Ralph that's been lifted from his face and tacked onto a mutant's skull, and they may be walking around and they could fool you. Really, there's no way of really telling if it's a mutant. I guess you just sort of have to go on that survivalist sixth sense, and I guess just dispatching mutants as they come. Really, they're as I've said before, they're already dead. When once they're mutants, they're dead anyway. So you might as well just I guess ventilate their bodies with as many bullet holes as possible. Really, since they have no brains, blowing their heads off doesn't really even help as much. Legs, limbs, use anything you can. They're, for the most part, not the fastest moving animals on God's green earth, but...
No, but they can be crafty!
Oh, they can be crafty, and of course, their strength in numbers, and there could be literally billions of them after Cataclysm.
This is very important, mutants, because you might, as Stan suggested, run into a mutant that looks like someone you knew before the bomb dropped. But, it could be your mother, it could be your father, your brother, or your sister.
Trust no one.
Trust no one, because once they are mutants, they are abominations of hell, and they must be stopped. They must be killed. You must not trust anybody.
Nobody at all, really. And here, I guess we're just hoping to start sort of a widespread consciousness about the whole thing, and about really it's not a probability or a possibility. It's an inevitability that the cataclysm will come. You don't need to be a Rhodes Scholar to figure out that that buttons are going to start being pushed, and cities are going to start being razed to the ground, and flaming loved ones will be screaming to their graves, and the whole sordid picture will unfold with the inevitability of nightfall, and really, you've got to start now. You know, it's not a matter of it's just comes down to a basic it's very similar to a Christian belief. You know, you can't wait until you're dead for salvation. You know, you've got to lead a proper life now, and so to speak, when the cataclysm come is almost like the day of reckoning, because that is when we shall rise to your right-hand side, Trevor, and you will be with us and watch over us. And it's just a simple matter of selling yourselves to us now, to Survival North now, and we will serve you, because we will serve you up here now in return for post-cataclysm, where, well, it's only natural that you return the favor. You will have to serve us a little bit down there in the bomb shelters, but it's probably a fair shake. It's a fair deal, and you will be surviving, and it will have the rudimentary structures of civilization. And it's a starting point, and really there's a possibility of fulfillment in any situation, and I think we'll find it all very profitable once that time comes.
Rebuilding civilization! Now isn't that a beautiful thought? Before we go on and discuss these facts, I would think that it is a very, very good time to do something. And I would like to say to you now that I would very much like to take a very brief but beautiful and awe-inspiring musical break.
You really got me going. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing. Oh yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. You really got me. You really got me. You really got me. Don't ever set me free. I always wanna be by your side. Girl, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know where I'm going. Oh yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. You really got me. You really got me. You really got me. Don't ever set me free. I always wanna be by your side. Girl, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing. Oh yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. You really got me. You really got me. You really got me.
Welcome back to survival. And that is what we are dealing with here. Surviving Cataclysm. And with me in the studio is my very special guest, concerned citizen Stan. Stan, tell me something. A lot of the viewers would like to know what you've been up to the past couple of years since survival went off the air.
Well, I guess everybody has a lot of catching up to do, and what various prominent members of Survival North have been doing over the last couple of years, but I can't really speak for everybody. But I know I've gone through a real interesting course of change of attitudes, and I've gone through a sort of a crisis in attitude concerning my faith and my faith in survival. But I'm proud to report that I've come out of this crisis stronger than ever in my belief in the importance of survival north and its purposes here in the Midwestern United States and southern prairie belt region of Canada, just west of the Canadian Shield. I guess I should get into the crisis that I went through in a little while. It just, if you recall, at the end of the last time we had the series, the crisis that was on all our minds was your disappearance at the hands of those heinous civil servants, the mailmen, and how they. I don't want to bring it up too much. I know you're man enough to take it, but it's a matter of whether the viewers out there can stand such a grisly account of human suffering and heartless torture. It's as everybody knows by now, Trevor was heartlessly dismembered. There were a number of vital organs which were removed. I seem to recall you are now without a spleen. You're running on an artificial spleen, which was removed with some sharp popsicle sticks and mailed to us ironically in a mason jar. And I know that your foot was removed, but Dr. Libido has done a wonderful job on reconstructing that, and we're all pleased with him. And there was the time that we did find you just north of Gimli, that during that spring thaw at the pressure ridge on the lake, and we were all sitting around wondering what to do, and I was inspired by the simple notion of taking a couple of the loose parts that were on ice, and I'd noticed that Sleeve and Reed had been practicing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on each other, and that tweaked in me that that we should draw straws to see who performs the act. And well, I drew the short straw and lost, and I did the honors, and it felt good to feel life breathing into you again through your lips, and that first pulse I felt on that lower lip of yours was just like my mother's heartbeat. It couldn't have been any sweeter. And but it's funny, that sublime feeling that I experienced then just led to the most horrible anticlimax and ennui, and I found myself really at first what I thought was boosted into the whole survival spirit, and I had gotten into the whole thing in such a bad way, collecting, of course, a massive arsenal, as you know. We were both proud of my arsenal, and various gourmet freeze-dried foods, and I was just getting into, and I was getting pretty hoity-toity for my own good, and looking down on the typical navy beans and freeze-dried bacon and freeze-dried corn fritters of my equals, and they weren't good enough for me. I had to have freeze-dried broccoli and cheese sauce, and I had to have special ammunition, nostalgic items from World War II, and I looked down on Uzis and all sorts of things, and I guess I just got so jaded. I just couldn't get excited about the various items that go along with the survivalist, the necessary modern accoutrements. I guess I was started to affect a certain style, and I used to like dressing up in World War I uniforms, for instance, and I went through that difficult phase there. And I guess the bottom line is, I'm getting pretty long-winded on it, I just like to dress up and play survival, and I sort of realized with a sudden crashing weight that I wasn't as serious in the proper way about survival as I thought. It's really hard to explain. It's like a midlife crisis or a religious crisis, where suddenly you wonder not only if God exists, but if any of us exist, and if not, perhaps we're all living in a hell, sort of a post-cataclysmic terrain. And I guess I landed myself in I guess it was kind of a hospital for a little while, and I know some of you people were pretty good to me, visiting me, but as you know, I wouldn't have much to do with anybody. But I took an insurance course, as you mentioned on the show, and last week, and I've found sort of a salvation in just getting out and producing, securing signatures on forms, and collecting money, and it got me. Eventually, I realized how pointless that all was, and I guess the next logical step was when you called me up to ask me if I wanted to come on the show, and I guess I am still in a bit of a crisis now, but I'm getting better as I speak now. Actually, I really wish you would take over now, because I think I'm having a bit of trouble, but I think I'll be fine.
It's great having you back, Stan! It's super! And I think all of our fans are glad that you're back! Because those years, those days, those months were trying times for all of us! And if it wasn't for that dastardly Colonel Neil turning me into the mailman, this all wouldn't have happened! But it did! It did happen! And it makes me sick to think about it! That it put you and Reed Manning and Slave Gullion through absolute hell! But I want you to know that I took my revenge out and I destroyed Colonel Neil with my bare hands!
Yeah, we were all terribly shocked when we found that Colonel Neil was the traitor among us, and let me just add that it wasn't just your bare hands. I saw it. I know that you literally ripped him limb from limb, and you managed to sneak those gleaming ivories out of that mouth aperture there and bite both ears off before administering the finishing blow. I was really glad to see that, because basically that was kind of poetic justice with all the hearing he was doing, and then passing it on with his big flapping lips, which you, I need not mention that you, I don't know if you mentioned that last week, that you butaned his lips, and...
Oh, I forgot that!
Oh, did you? Well, let me just mention that he's being modest. He took a basic survival implement, the butane lighter, and he made sure he was never going to blab to any mailman ever again, that's for sure. There it is. I might add Trevor has asbestos gloves, which serious survivalists might consider getting out there somewhere. I can't mention where.
Yes, Stan! Those were trying times! But they're past us now! And what we have to do now is spread the word! Because tonight will be the last night we appear before the citizens of Winnipeg through the airwaves. Because it has come to our attention that Cataclysm is drawing near. And Stan and I will be going into our fallout shelters this very evening. And we will see you all after Cataclysm. And that, in the next few minutes, we have to stress to you how important it is to prepare to survive, so that we may rejoin you after that glorious moment when the bombs drop.
Well, that's me, isn't it? Yeah. I was hoping to say something about bomb shelter life and just sort of how you get through the day with nothing for a sun other than your regulation 10-watt bulb, which should be hanging overhead in the various corners of your bomb shelter. Of course, you want to keep light down to a minimum as much as possible to save wear and tear on your retinal muscles, and also just to avoid the chance reflection of light rays through the vent, which is usually disguised with a mossy stone or a hollowed tree stump or something like that. You just don't want light to go, so you've got to keep in absolute darkness, and you've also got to choose your bomb shelter buddies very carefully, you know.
Do not, under any circumstance, trust anyone!
No, especially after the bomb is dropped. If you do have loved ones and you feel like including them in your survival plans, and it's quite possible that you have children or a wife or a girlfriend that you're hoping to marry before going down into the shelter or something like that, and you do have to be careful. I know we've had some dry runs there with the kids. They get a kick out of them, and we've gone down under for 3-4 weeks during vacation, and but there was a while there during crisis where I took to living with some shelter mates, and well, they get a little you get sort of shelter fever, and you just got to be. Well, I better not. I better not go into this. You just use common sense out there. But well, you know, Trevor. How was it living in the confines of the mailman's mail bags or storage room, wherever you had their?
It was pure hell! And I'll tell you something! When you are living in a fallout shelter, there are things you must know. There are things you have to do, because you will be down in your fallout shelter for a long time. If you are by yourself, you might have a tendency to go crazy. You must not, by any means, go crazy. Look at us. We're not crazy, and we have spent many, many months and years in